URC round number 4, folks, is in the bag. Everybody now has a win, and we still have 3 teams who are yet to taste defeat in the Bulls, Leinster, and the Lions. Leinster's played one more game than the other 2, with the South African teams being a round behind. But hey, nobody's going to go through this season winless. Go through the round 4 fixtures, some of the kind of big talking points about the results, some of the stats, the standings, upcoming fixtures. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how the season is going thus far. Kicked off with Glasgow and Zebre, which was a pretty emphatic 33-3 win for the Glasgow boys. Bonus point win for them. Matthews, Dobby, Jones and Stewart, the try scorers there. Hugh Jones was in pretty scintillating form. Did a full match review for that one, but ultimately, I don't know, it never really looked like much doubt, did it? I mean, the Zebre lineout was pretty average, 7 from 11, whereas the Glasgow boys were at 17 from 17, such an attacking platform. Dempsey was busting tackles for fun. He finished with 7 of those. There wasn't really much of a matchup in that one. Sadly for the Zebre guys, they are yet to kind of match that performance they had when they tasted victory over Munster a few rounds ago. Zambonin did make 14 tackles for Zebre, but when you got solely 3 points on the board, you're kind of clutching at straws as to what to highlight for them. For Glasgow, despite that kind of early speed bump at the start of the season, things are looking pretty promising for the reigning champions. Next game, Cardiff and the Scarlets. The Scarlets get their first win, having been one of the few teams to kind of not taste any victories thus far this season. They get it over Cardiff. I believe it was a sold-out Cardiff Arms Park, which is always pleasing to see. All those bums on the seats. That's kind of what we like to see. The visuals are so much better. Even if it's not the biggest ground in the world, man, if it's full, it looks cracking on the camera, and the atmosphere is certainly there. A bit of a kind of topsy-turvy one, this one, with the Scarlets having several yellow cards in this game. Cardiff got tries through Millard, who got a brace and a penalty try. 2 for Gareth Davis as well for the Scarlets guys. Johnny Williams also got one, but yeah, 3 yellow cards. Losi for a croc roll, Rogers for a deliberate knock-on, and then McLeod a minute later at maul time. So the Scarlets boys, despite having 13 men on the field towards the end of the game, didn't concede any points despite having, a 2-man disadvantage. So for Cardiff, after starting the season with a kind of 2-0 record, are now sitting 2 wins, 2 losses. So a little bit kind of deflating. Certainly could have put themselves in a position to win that one. With the Scarlets coming into this one winless, it would have been a chance for the Cardiff guys to really kind of push on, but it is a disappointing loss. Obviously, they get a losing bonus point out of it, but would have much preferred a win. But hey, good news for the Scarlets is, as I said, they get their first win of the season. I mean, turnovers won 10-5 to the Scarlets boys. Shows some proper commitment on defense. They had less possession, 42%. They had 45%. They had less territory, 42%. Teddy Williams made 14 tackles for Cardiff, but Dan Davis, 2 turnovers, 1 for the Scarlets. Johnny Williams beats 5 defenders. Some standout performances. Yohan Lloyd set up some kind of good attacking play, which was pretty pleasing to see from him. But there you go, all Welsh affair. On the Saturday games, Benetton get their season underway a little bit at the expense of the Sharks. Sharks, man, what's going on with the Sharks? I mean, will it be a different story once they get all their Springboks back in action? They still have some good players, but 38-10. 38-10's a proper hiding. O'Dogwu gets a try for Benetton. And this game was both sides seemingly kind of wearing white. I thought it was only Super Rugby that still did the stupid kind of kit clashes thing. I don't know whose decision, like green and white up against, was it like black and white, was a great idea. Not a great visual. Just wear different colours. I still don't know how this is a thing. Thankfully, I didn't watch this game in full, so I wasn't too frustrated by it, but you could bet your bottom dollar if I'd watched the game in full, I would have been making a bigger deal about it. It just seems like such an insane one to still get wrong for people who are running a professional competition. But anyway, both sides in white. It's 3-3 after 20 minutes, but half-time's 24-3. O'Dogwu gets a try. Rano Smith gets a try. Mendy gets a try, all before half-time. Mendy's one comes after Brex kicks a 50-22, which is not something he's really known for, the Italian midfielder. Second half, Smith gets another, Marine gets one. The Sharks boys get one right at the death, a consolation try when Benetton had a yellow card. So yeah, not much doing for them. Umanga, 3 try assists from him. Some proper playmaking skills. Canone makes 20 tackles. That's Nicolo Canone. Spagnolo, a couple of turnovers. One, like Andre Esterhazen beats 4 defenders, but it's a hard one to really find too many positives there. I mean, the Sharks had 60% possession of territory, but Benetton 7 turnovers, 1-1. And the turnovers conceded from the Sharks are really, really high. 14 to Benetton's 8. So, yeah, Sharks. Disappointing. Again, to put that one pretty mildly. And a similar story with the Stormers. Edinburgh, who've not had a great start to the season. They get their first win, and it's over, like I said, the Stormers, who are pretty much, like, their result against the Edinburgh boys is pretty much the same as the Sharks guys against Benetton. Very similar scorelines. 38-7. Harrison gets one from close range for Edinburgh. Munster gets one from a line break with a bit of a step. That was kind of unexpected from the loose forward. Second half, we get Gilchrist getting one, Graham getting one. Gilchrist had one chalked off in the first half as well. Munster got a second. Run now got one for the Stormers on about half an hour. But the Stormers did have a couple of tries chalked off. I don't think it's making a difference if any of those are given the context of this game. Possession and territory 60% plus for Edinburgh. The Stormers had to make 153 tackles to 84. They conceded 14 penalties to 6. Yeah, not a fine day at the office for either of those South African sides. But hey, Benetton and Edinburgh get their first wins of their campaigns. So that will have those fan bases at least a little bit happier, because we're 4 rounds in, and if you don't start picking up wins, the road back towards the playoffs just gets increasingly difficult, doesn't it? Leinster against Munster. Watch that one in full. Croke Park. Sold out, 80,000+ fans. Record for the URC. Fantastic stuff to see. We would have liked a slightly closer game, obviously. Main talking point about this one, I did a match review about it, but Leinster not scoring in the second half, seemingly pretty happy to just play territory and defend, keep their defensive system ticking along. Munster did manage a couple of tries, O'Brien and Haley. But, I mean, Lowe on the 5th minute, Doris on the 10th minute, Keenan on the 14th minute, and then Sneeman just before half-time against his old club. I mean, the opening quarter was where the match was pretty much decided. And then the rest of the game was just deciding the scoreline. Leinster, territory-wise, second half, 69-31. Like I said, just happy to keep the ball down Munster's end and keep going through the tackles. Doris finished with 21 tackles. Porter, though, maybe one of the kind of concerning points for Leinster, concedes 4 penalties. Munster's line-out, not very good. Very shaky. You've got to secure your own line-out ball, especially when you're playing Leinster. So, disappointing one for the Munster boys. But, man, in terms of the occasion, 80,000+ fans for a round 4, nothing on the line URC game. That's phenomenal. I'm still really, really chuffed to see that. Ospreys and the Bulls. Watched that one as well. Did full match review for that one too. But the Bulls keep their perfect record with a 29-19 win over the Ospreys. The main talking about that one seems to be the Creel red card, where he kind of sticks out a forearm and shoves it into the throat. Was it Dan Edwards? Whacks him in the throat. A lot of fans seem to think, or at least some fans seem to think, not a red card. I don't know, man. You whack someone in the throat with your forearm, these days, you're going to get in big trouble. So it didn't surprise me that he got a red, to be honest. And then Elric Lowe with the one-handed intercept one. Again, I hate that law personally, but it's just the way they officiate the game. So the Bulls having some cards meant that the Ospreys were kind of able to get back into the game. They did get tries through Dewey Lake in the first half, Combier and Morris in the second, but they took too long to accumulate points when the Bulls had a guy in the bin. 2 guys in the bin. Well, 1 guy in the bin, 1 guy red carded. You know what I mean? They made hard work of it. The Bulls' defence, despite having not many players on the field, just seemed to be holding them out. Lowe, Kurtley Aronson and Papier got all the points in terms of the tries for the Bulls really early on as well. 2nd minute, 10th minute, 12th minute, 22nd minute. So the Bulls, a proper flurry at the start of the game. 3 points for the rest of it. Maybe that's a bit concerning, but hard to complain with a bonus point away win for a team that doesn't usually travel that well. In the Bulls, the Ospreys, despite the kind of flurry at the end with that kind of late try to Morgan Morris, still get nothing points-wise from the game. Turnovers won 7-3 to the Bulls. They kicked well, 38-27. I think Billy LaRue got man of the match for that one. His ability to kind of pull the strings at the back remains a thing. Elric Lowe, 70 metres. Jack Morgan still looks class, even when the Ospreys lose. Beats 5 defenders, a big part in one of their tries. But, yeah, disappointing, I guess, especially as I said, when you got the numerical advantage, you need to make it count. I kind of wish I'd watched Ulster and Connacht, 32-27. I've only seen the highlights. That one seems like one of the games of the round in terms of the way the lead changed. This one was all tied up, 24 apiece at 71 minutes when Connacht got a red card, a pretty dumb red card, seemingly, which allowed Cooney to slot a clutch penalty and take the lead for Ulster, and then they got a final try anyway to kind of put it beyond doubt. But yeah, Connacht, I think, will be disappointed that one. They got some nice tries. Bolton got one, Joyce got one, Murphy got one. He ends up getting carded later. Tierney Martin got one from close range. Ulster love a close range try as well. They got him through Andrew Postlewaite, McCann, and Timony. Cooney's sniping one on 27 minutes. Maybe the pick of the bunch, but yeah, you look at the stats. Like, defenders beaten is 32-12 to Connacht. Run meters 361, 242 to Connacht. Possession and territories pretty close. So it seems like Connacht were doing a lot of good stuff. But yeah, like I said, Ulster at close range is a hard team to keep out. Like, Ioane's wide pass for the Bolton try was pretty slick. It's really good to see him cutting loose now that he's up north. But yeah, 2 losing bonus points for Connacht. I guess the 4 tries and then the losing try bonus point is at least something to take away from the game. But that final 10 minutes, I feel like, will be kind of haunting for the Connacht fans. But for Ulster, it's good. Get the campaign back on track after kind of opening week win, then a couple of losses. So good to be back home, good to be in front of the fans, and yeah, for sure, good to get a win. Bolton finished with 9 defenders for Connacht. He was a bit of a handful. Dave McCann, 21 tackles for Ulster as a pretty solid defensive shift. And then the final game, which was Dragons up against the Lions. That was an overnight game for me here in NZ, 2:30 in the morning. Didn't get up to watch this one in all honesty, but 23-19. The Lions, weirdly, based on how the Lions play in recent times, don't outscore their opponent in tries. It's 3 tries to 2, with the Lions only having the 2. Kewan Horn and Cairns getting the tries. The tackling from the Dragons guys on the second Lions try is pretty abysmal. They will not look back at this one, given the scoreline, with much joy. The Dragons try through Keddy, which was an intercept, which is an interesting one when you see a loose forward in that kind of space, and he manages to put the hammer down to go as far as he did, and then Tame Basham got a couple. But yeah, I mean, defenders beaten 23-22, pretty even. The Lions get more turnovers, 4-7. They kick their penalties to keep the scoreboard ticking over. But yeah, the Dragons, I feel like they'll be pretty disappointed. But as I said, for the Lions, it's pleasing to see them kind of get an ugly win. Like, it's all well and good to cut loose at Ellis Park when you're at home and score like 50, 60 points. But when you're away at Rodney Parade up in Wales, you know, to go through a game where you win it based on the penalties you kicked rather than necessarily just scoring a flurry of tries, that's a pleasing one, I guess. It gives me a bit of optimism for them going forward in the season. So as far as the standings are at the moment, Leinster, Glasgow, Lions and Bulls, that is your top 4. So the reigning champions and the 3 undefeated sides. Running up the playoff spots, Connacht, Cardiff, Munster and Ulster. So the 4 Irish sides in the playoff spots, 2 South African sides, a Scottish and Welsh side at the moment. As I mentioned, Cardiff dropping that game against the Scarlets in terms of their log position, I think will be pretty frustrating. The Stormers, remember they've played 1 fewer game, but they are propping up the bottom of the URC table thus far after 4 rounds. Next round, Ulster play the Ospreys at home. You would feel like the Ospreys will be pretty big underdogs for that one. But, you know, there's been a few, and the fact that nobody's winless thus far, you never know this season anyway. Scarlets are taking on the Bulls. The Bulls will be looking to complete their Welsh tour with another win. Zebre will host the Lions. Again, the Lions will be looking to continue their good travelling form as well. The Sharks back home to Glasgow. That'll be an interesting one, just because I would feel like the Sharks should get some of their big guns back. They'll be back home, but it is against the reigning champions. Stormers taking on Munster. Munster will be looking to see that one as an opportunity to get some success in South Africa. Edinburgh hosting Cardiff. Both sides have looked good and bad, I guess, this season. Edinburgh hoping to turn their season around. The Dragons taking on Benetton, and Connacht taking on Leinster. That might be the watch of the round, that last one, but kind of have to wait and see. You guys let us know your thoughts on how things are going for the URC after 4 rounds. Who do you see dropping a game first? The Bulls, the Lions, or Leinster? Can the Stormers make their way off the foot at the table? Were they the most disappointing team of the round? Teams who got 19 points didn't do well this week. The Ospreys, Dragons, and Cardiff. All Welsh sides, all at home, all 19 points. All lost. Unusual. But hey, you guys let us know your thoughts on the round, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Take care. See you later.